Because finally, it's AI. I was joking about like, oh, AI was like it was mainstream, but they never make it to the Super Bowl. And it
Right.
seems like AI now is so super mainstream that it make it to Super Bowl. And what
There
are
you
your
go.
friends and colleagues think about like the AI commercialization war overall?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of mixed feelings about the ads, and I know we'll probably talk a little bit about that. But the advertising coming into AI, with Anthropic taking its position where they're not going to have any ads, but they're going to potentially make the cost of use on the platform more expensive than their competitors, whereas the competitors are going to pay for a lot of that with the ads. But it does change the opportunity. And I do think that if it holds, will give Anthropic a huge advantage over ChatGPT by way of not having those ads.
I see. It's all these platforms are taking different routes to go commercialization. So it's no surprises. It's going to be a lot of things are happening in AI plus ad world. So yeah, like it's a great conversation with you, Thomas, last week about how marketing to AI is going to be kind of like the mainstream 2026, right? Because aging is helping us to make a lot of decisions, and then they are our audience too. And then today, so whenever we talk about ads, there's like one word inevitable is attrition. So today's topic is really about like why AI breaks attrition a little bit, and let's dig deeper into it. So I will be asking a few questions, and then I would love to kind of like understand or hear your feedbacks on it. So are you ready for all the questions?
I am always ready, Joy. Let's go.
Very good to hear. So yeah, so the first one, like the AI giants like Google, OpenAI, Anthropic are all search players now, right? How do their commercialization paths differ from your understanding and observation?
Yeah, so they're all taking different routes, which is understandable, and we'll see how that all plays out. But for Google, they're really looking to protect what they've already built by way of their ads, right? So using their AI overviews and their Gemini integrations, they're all put together in a way and designed to keep everybody in the Google ecosystem, right? Slowly
Yeah.
folding ads into that AI realm so that people don't even necessarily know the difference. But the strengths of Gemini from an AI search tool are still relevant, and depending upon what you're using and how you're using it. From a consumer standpoint, it ranks fairly well, but from a commercialized standpoint, not so much. But with respect to OpenAI, because of their massive costs and the cost of actually computing with the volume that they have, they're forced to do one of two things: either raise their cost to the user base or start to introduce ads. So they've now gone ahead and decided to introduce advertising, as we've seen. And one of the costs was what was it, $60 per CPM, which is
Yeah, and 200K minimum
right up
to
there with the
start with.
super. I mean, which with the cost of a Super Bowl ad. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so that's not going to do well immediately, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And of course, with Anthropic, they've taken to the position that ads are coming to AI, but not to Claude, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think they're well positioned in that regard. And there is a difference by way of their audience and their user base, right? So whether it's consumers, whether it's retail, D2C, B2C, or whether it's B2B, there is a difference with the traffic flows and the uses of that from the standpoint of marketing. So, from a marketing perspective, and I really want to stress this is really important. What we're trying to do in these conversations is really work very closely with marketing professionals and marketing people to really support what they're doing and help them give information and provide context so they can make even better decisions going forward as to how and where and to what degree AI plays a role in their process in developing opportunities for their brands.
Oh yeah, totally. And I think it's going to be a very interesting year for all these marketers you mentioned earlier, because
Yes.
everything is
Yeah.
moving so quickly, right? It's almost
Yes.
like we're changing from an internet era to an AI era. But in the internet era, everything, the SaaS, it's quick, but it's not like every single day new things are happening. But now it feels like every single day, even by minute, like so many things are happening. So like if I were a marketer professional, I would be very confused, like of what are the best bet for 2026, because I guess like marketing is about budgeting and then the planning. But then with all these minutes of changes or daily changes, how can a professional marketer professional to make the right decision? Like, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, the right decision always comes from step one, which is to learn everything you can by way of what the options are. And the old days of strictly doing SEO are changing, so that SEO is still critically important. But now we need to introduce AEO and GEO into the equation, because at the end of the day, what's happened, and we'll talk about that by way of attribution, I'm sure, but what's happened is that the customer journey has been completely rerouted. And that changes what we watch from a marketing perspective. So marketing people are used to watching and looking for KPIs as it relates to clicks and as it relates to the process by way people go from the users, the ads, the website, and then finally to a transaction or a purchase. And they're used to looking at all those different quantifiable KPIs and attributions that they could watch and tabulate and see how they're doing. Those are all gone. So that's
Oh
gone
yeah,
because
that's
customer's done an end run. So the customer used to go this way. Now the customer's going this way, right?
yes.
And
And
that's where the change is. And marketing hasn't really kept up with that in many cases. And that's what they need to wake up to, right? And so what we want to do is really help marketing now understand that customer path has changed. So now you got a black box in the middle, if you want to describe it that way, right? That is moving everything to a direct transaction through AI. And they really need to understand that all those previous touch points are gone. So all that data that you're seeing is irrelevant.
exactly, the funnel doesn't exist anymore almost, right? There's no, it's like jumping right there. So that actually brought to me like two interesting questions, follow-up question. One is really, it almost sounds like you're saying that because of AI and also the journey changes, that's where like AI is breaking the attrition. And what do you think about that?
Yes, and I think that's exactly right. AI is breaking attrition in terms of what we used to look for and measure. So when we count on those old attribution and KPIs that we used to follow, frankly, we're now playing in the dark because the data that we're getting no longer reflects the reality of the customer journey, or at least very little of it or less and less of it, depending upon the industry and, of course, the brand. So that becomes a critical loss of data that we now have to get our arms around and better understand in order to make sure that we're still gaining the transactions and the customer audience and the opportunities in a sales funnel that we want and that we're after.
That's good point. And then it does sounds like the AI is bringing a new marketing word, right? Which is different, completely different from the traditional AI, like a pre-AI era. So it's kind of like when the internet times, there are the funnels, there are traffics, and then step by step, you will see how user get to your website or how user get to the final transaction. But in the new world, which is the AI era, the AI interactions, users are jumping right to the answer. After the answer might right jump into the final conclusion or transaction checkout box. So this is kind of like the new era. It sounds like it's marketing is changing its era. And between the two eras, I'm kind of curious, like, do you think the user journey or the user, not journey, but then it's more about the user stickiness or percentage of like likelihood to convert and make transaction, how does it change?
Changes
If
dramatically.
that
It really does. So wherein in the old days, it was very common for buyers and customers and people doing their research using standard Google search to go through an elongated process of checking blue links, right, and checking and going through it. And if you happen to have an ad there, paid or otherwise, right, then indeed they might click on that ad and follow through from there. But even then, that was never a complete process. So that didn't lead to the opportunity of what we might call a last click, right? So today with AI, that all goes away. And now they're given one or two options. And once they click and go into that option, if agentic AI has been built in through the UCP or through another agentic AI system based upon what the brand has created and what Deep Lumen provides, then in fact, now there's an opportunity to manage that entire customer experience, and that other process is gone. So now that whole transaction can happen right within that conversation with AI search, and they can complete their transaction right there.
I see. And that's when I'm kind of curious, like, because you mentioned quite a bit about clicks. So in the old world, right, like last click is so important because it's really
Yeah.
just the attrition, right? But
Yeah.
then do you think the last click model still have any value in the AI era?
Very little. Very little. So that change is dramatic. So AI agents are now performing that last click themselves via those protocols that we were talking about, like UCP or Universal Commerce Protocol. And with respect to ChatGPT, they have ACP, right? But the similar process. So there are different ways that happens, but the fact is that last click is now owned by AI search and that whole process, which has shifted the customer journey. And here's the thing, and this is what's so important. That shift now is still based on what marketing people have done so well, which is SEO. So all that great work that they did with SEO is what determines, or very often help determines, what AI brings up in the first place. So you can't have one without the other. Yes, the process has shifted, and yes, that last click is now being performed by AI and within that program. But if your SEO wasn't done properly, then you have no chance. But if you've done a great job with SEO and you've now combined that with AEO and GEO, all these crazy letters, if you've done that, now you've created a full circle opportunity that brings your brand up into those recommendations by AI because you're trustworthy, right? And it's the authority that you've created with SEO is now putting you in the position that you want to be with AI search.
That's interesting. That's actually a very valid point, especially you mentioned like SEO, because SEO is more about in the old times, right? Again, like websites are so important. That's why we come up with SEO services and also SEM services. And then do you think like in the new world, even though last click does not exist anymore, right? Or it's very little value added, but then it does sounds like the website are coming back again in the geo world. Do you have the same
Yes,
feelings?
yes, it's so interesting, isn't it? I mean, it's coming back from the perspective of now being the key resource that AI is going to look for in its steps of finding the authority and the credible answer to the question that the customer has asked, right? And if your website is structured in a way that AI can read quickly, effectively, and in a way that answers the question being asked, then you're the answer. If, on the other hand, you have not done that, then you may not come up in that process. And therein lies the opportunity and the great gains that brands can make by making sure that indeed they have done, because the website is still important, but in a different way and for different reasons. It's not the consumer coming to your website anymore. It's
Exactly.
AI. And AI
It's
isn't looking AI isn't looking for pretty imagery and,
exactly.
and great graphics. AI is looking for one thing and one thing only. And that's the answer to the question the customer asked. That's it.
Exactly.
And if you answer
Exactly.
that question with authority and credibility, then you own it. You're going to come up. If you're within there and we're using Deep Lumen system, right, with agentic AI on the commerce side, then now you can own that entire journey and transaction and close the deal with the customer.
And that's exactly how we built Deep Lumen based now, right? Like we're like we're really thinking about in the new world, AI is really taking the decisions, right? AI agents, there's like talks about agentic commerce. Pretty much it's really AI is being a real agent or assistant to help users to gather data, to validate the data, and then come up with a conclusion, and not even maybe make of the final decisions or at least the recommendation to the users. And that's essentially what Deep Lumen is building on. Like we're betting on the future is AI is going to be part of the final decision. And that's when it's very important now that your audience is no longer just audience, like your users. They're going to be like all these AI agents are going to be part of the decision maker as well. But historically, in the old world, like we always make attractive like visuals, like videos, like text to attract humans. But now, if agents are making part of the decisions, then who are marketing to them? That's the challenge, right? Agents are not reading at this point, are not reading like the visuals, like the images, the videos, because technology wise it's not like technology are not there, but it's my understanding or my experiences in the AI industry. It's more about it's going to be so costly for an AI to read every single images and also videos on your website. So now it's very important, at least at this point, it's really we need to come up with a solution where we can translate the official website for brands into a machine readable format so AI agents can understand you better and fully, and then understand, recommend, do all these good things to your brand. And that's where we come up with this agentic page, where it's a beautiful little tool where we can help once we get the website link and a few other like access to the whole domain and also the backend, our product will automatically translate any brand's official website to a machine readable format, so that when AI bots or crawler come into your website, you will follow the optimized sitemap per like our design, and then get to really the places we want the AI to read first, which is our agentic page, so that it will understand better what your brand is really doing and then recommend you as a result. And that's essentially what Deep Learning is trying to do. And then that's just a first step, because I know in the States, oftentimes later last year, early this year, people are quite talking quite a bit about AEO, answer optimization, answer engine optimization, or GEO, generative engine optimization. But then I've been doing it for the past like 6 months, and we've been doing some amazing like projects for some leading brands. While doing it, we just realized that wait a second, GEO is really just part of it. Like other than GEO, you also need to translate your website. So that's very important, because GEO usually it's charged per query, which is powerful because most of your traffic are powered, or most of the traffic are coming from the top 5 query or top 5 intents. So that's why GEO services are charged per query. And they are pricey, right? If you count per query, but the major query covers your like say 70-80% of your major like needs, audience, and traffic. But then how about the remaining 20 to 40? That's where it's a long tail. All these long tail queries come into the picture. But that's where you don't, for the brands, it might not make sense to do individual query optimization anymore. But instead, you could actually use the agentic page, meaning that a beautiful tool to translate your web page so AI can understand you better, to cover systematically all your brand asset. in order for AI to recommend you. So it's going to be like, I think this year it's going to be a combination of, in order to get a full systematic GEO optimization of AI traffic, number one is do the GEO. Number two is really do the agentic commerce, or agentic, sorry, like the page to translate your website. So these two together will build a very solid foundation for any brands. And then afterwards, our third product is really the UCP for Java. That's where, like you mentioned, like it's how you complete transactions within the Google ecosystem, or maybe in the future, the sooner or later, the ChatGPT OpenAI ecosystem, because ChatGPT is coming up with OCP, and then Google is coming up with UCP. All they do is really, it's a protocol or standards that teach your these standards are helping Google to better understand what exactly are in your inventory. What are your SKU? What are the product descriptions? What's the inventory? What's the checkout? All these like processes throughout a e-commerce journey, UCP is going to provide a Google standards per that, so that once you get the UCP Java, all your existing processes on the e-commerce transactions will be in compliant with Google ecosystem, so that once you are being approved by Google's waitlist on the UCP, what's going to happen is that when user asks a question, what's the best sneaker in 2026? Say there are 5 answers with five different brands coming up. That's the GEO and agentic page part. But then beneath it, once you have the UCP, it's really about shopping. It's about shop carts are coming into the picture. And that's where the real transactions are happening. And that's where the UCP are happening. And that's what we are helping brands to provide. So it's going to be a comprehensive within ecosystem and outside of your part of the traffic will be, or part of the transactions will be within your ecosystem, meaning the Google ChatGPT ecosystem. So I call it like in-platform transactions. And using GEO services, agentic page services, product services together with UCP, you're going to capture all that or optimize all that. Parallelly, if you do the agentic page for your website, whatever traffic gets out of the platform into your website, you will get it too. You will be, or whenever they get out of the like ChatGPT Google ecosystem, like where do these traffic go? If you optimize your website well enough, it will go to you first. So that's kind of like an out of platform traffic. And we, Deep Bloomer, are designing a holistic, systematic product to really better serve the brand, to be really powerful or empowered in the AI era, both in platform and out of platform transactions. And you can see both the in platform, out of platform, the common layer is really agentic page, where you need to start building up your website for machine to be able to understand you better. And that's exactly one of our first products we're launching and inviting users, clients to try it out for free in a very limited time offer. So yeah, like that's what our understanding, and that's also what we foreseen is going to be kind of like the future of this year for marketing. And then I sort of mentioned like agentic commerce earlier. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's going to be the big shift, right? And so we're seeing that already. And whether or not brands are aware of it, more and more commerce is being directed with agentic AI. And the challenge is, by the time they realize it, they may lose a lot of market positioning to the competitors who have been able to take advantage of it. And that's where we really need to be able to help brands take advantage of utilizing tools like this, but also to understand that everything they've done in terms of the content creation, the SEO, and all of those things still are part of what we're doing. We just need to now reformat it and restructure it in a way that aligns with this new agentic commerce model and with this new model in the way of an agentic page, right, that can now be set up so that it brings that traffic in quickly, effectively, and they become the answer. So now they've really got two customers coming in. They've got customers that actually may come to their website organically, or they've got customers that are coming to their website via AI search. And that's really what we're talking about today, because we're seeing that shift to being that the primary source is AI.
Yeah, that's quite a great summary of the whole agentic commerce. And also, I'm kind of curious because everything is moving so quickly. Last month we were talking about UCP, and this month we're talking about agentic commerce, and like all these good news and good advertisement on all these big giants, AI giants. Like, what are the kind of like adoption? Like, how quickly marketers and sales professionals in the States, by your observation, like adapting all these new concepts? Do they even heard about, like, literally, I have clients, they heard about UCP and they want to be on the wait list. And then there's another crowd where like everyone doesn't haven't heard about UCP. So I feel like there's a conflict almost, or a huge discrepancy even within like same like DTC industry. I see clients are having completely different understanding of what's happening.
Yes, and I totally agree. And there's been quite a number of events put on recently, and some studies done recently by groups like Section, where they have actually looked at that and tried to understand where the CMOs in the US market, particularly, or in the Western markets in particular, are now positioning and starting to understand. And the fact is, while they're playing with AI in general, in terms of a tool within their own ecosystem, to better productivity or different facets of the sales process or the marketing process, the conversation that we are having today by way of agentic e-commerce and agentic AI being used to facilitate the sales pipeline, the marketing pipeline, and those areas, and really maximizing their websites to take advantage of that, that has not been happening yet. So there's still a huge gap between the reality of what marketing people have been able to put in place so far and what they need to be doing as soon as they can. And the opportunity is this today, to do that and to take advantage of the opportunity is actually quick and low cost, because for the most part, many brands are not doing it. So your opportunity, I liken it to what happened back in the day of pay-per-click, when pay-per-click first started happening, and when the internet first came out and websites still came out. There was an opportunity for those few that took advantage of that to gain huge land grabs, as you might want to call it, right? And huge market shares. And they keep it because they're the first there and they own it. And they do it at very low cost, and they gain all of that opportunity. So it shifts. So it isn't just the Goliaths that have this opportunity. It's actually those small up and coming brands that at a very low cost can come out. And you got David and Goliath, and with one slingshot, they can take Goliath out, own the market, and own it for good if they maintain it. So this is an opportunity like we haven't seen before. So yes, there's a great opportunity, but CMOs and marketing people need to start to see how to do that. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help them do what they've been doing so well, and to add on to this in a way that takes advantage of all the incredible SEO work they've done in order to make that work for AEO and GEO.
I cannot agree more. But just like per my understanding, because 2 years ago, 2024, I was in Shop Talk, one of the largest retail marketing event in the whole United States, right? So when I was there, every talk was about Gen AI, generative AI, and we AI like text to images, text to videos, all these fancy stuff, right? It looks like everyone was like, wow, it's really happening, because it is very shocking and amazing. But at the same, in the daily life, right, you can text and then you get a video. But then later on at that wave, my observation is really, I think because of all the users, like even marketers as an individual in their daily life, they're impacted and also being amazed as with this Gen AI product. So everyone was thinking about, oh, it's really coming. AI can do something, change my work life, not just life, but change my work life. But then that's when CMOs are taking a hit by like, adopting all these like Gen AI tools, then before they realize that, oh, it's actually not exactly like, it's not exactly commercially friendly, to be frankly speaking, because a lot of elements out of it you cannot really control. I literally, the previous company I worked with, we were LVMH like vendor, and
Yeah.
then they really want to take advantage of like text to image or like image to video functionality. But then once you input these like Louis Vuitton beautiful logos and with all the bags, once you generate the video, the Louis Vuitton becomes something else. The LV
Mhm.
becomes LU. And that's when like the marketing manager will be like, wait a second, I can never publish this on our social media. And that's the moment I realized that Gen AI tools, it might has it's kind of like a glorious or glamorous in like even in professional circumstances, but then it cannot really be a full blown, or like it's not really the biggest changes to the marketing, because
Right.
simply because there are so many variables out there and uncertainties, you can't really control it. And but then now, why am I starting opening this company is because what we're doing, even though it's AI, but then it's really business. How you drive traffic is always forever. How you drive traffic, how you get like transactions, period. That's the essence of business. And that's what this AI commercialization, this like marketing to AI is really about. It's not another Gen AI product or another AI product. It's really a product or a historical, like, sorry, like a holistical way to manage marketing, to facilitate marketers to get traffic from AI and close that deal, close that transactions. So that's kind of like because I do want to clarify, a lot of marketers or CMOs, once they hear about the word AI, they back off,
Yes.
right? And like I feel like this is different. This is completely different. And then this is where, like you mentioned, like it's a game changer, so that you might be winning in the marketing to human, the old word, aka if you're not making the right decision to position yourself right in front of AI,
And
you will
you
having trouble to maintain your
You
status.
just identified indirectly a chasm that exists in the marketing world, wherein they're mixing up AI products and solutions with the AI process. So M to
Exactly.
AI, marketing to AI, is not a product; it's a process, right? So what we're doing now is addressing the change in the customer journey, not necessarily with a product, but by understanding the process so that we can plug in and be right there for the customers, our ICPs, immediately, as opposed to hoping that they find us when in fact they found our competitors, right? So this
Yeah,
isn't about
exactly.
selling an AI product or an AI solution. This isn't about any of that. This is about a process. And once marketing people start to realize, this isn't about the product. This isn't, there's so many AI tools and products out there, literally tens of
Yeah,
thousands, that they're being
exactly.
bombarded with. Use this one, use that one. This will get you this, and this will get you that, and this creates all these. All of that is noise, because at the end of the day, there's only one process that counts, and that is lead generation, revenue growth, built upon
Exactly.
your customer finding your brand, period, full stop. And if you don't create the bridge and the process that allows that to happen, the rest is irrelevant.
Exactly. Marketing might change because the audience are changing, but then the business never change. The essence to the business, right? It's always
That's
about,
right.
like you mentioned, lead generation and also revenue. And that's exactly what's happening now is with all, even with all these giants are commercialization, they're getting traffic, they're getting the audience. So how they direct these traffic into your website, or driving these traffic to close transaction within platform for your product, that's what the marketers should be really focusing on. Not that we're saying that you need to throw away all your budget on like the old word investment. You still need to do that. The budgeting still should maintain. But because we know for sure we're changing, getting into a agentic era, you definitely need to try some budget as at the minimum as an experiment to better understand, help any like brands to better commerce really mean. Because if you don't, it's I'm joking that I was like, oh, Google is having such a big ambitious, because what they're trying to do here now with UCP is really they're trying to build Alibaba, the China e-commerce. They're going to try, because all the transactions is within the platform, right? Also, they're going to try to build a C-Trip, the Chinese version, where like all the bookings.com is happening in the platform, because you can now book your Amtrak ticket within the ecosystem instead of getting into Amtrak website. And then I think they're trying to even try to grab all this traffic where, you know, Uber, the food deliveries are, because essentially they are using technology to build a agentic assistant to facilitate you to make all these transactions. So it could be one platform with a super app, which I'm joking that because I'm from China, I know Chinese app pretty well. And in China, Alibaba, like C-Trip, and then the Chinese version of Google, Uber Eats are huge and independently, and they're doing so well. So it's very hard in China to have a super app where everything, like from your lifestyle, from your traffic, from your accommodation, your day-to-day shopping, all in one platform. It's hard because the existing apps are so strong already. They're building their own like app, like or agent within their platform already. But then parallelly, because I'm working in the States, and then it will be amazing to see how Google is going to take over, or maybe ChatGPT, or like I don't know which giant is going to do agentic commerce, right? But I won't be surprised that one of them or even both of them are doing so well in certain categories or verticals that later on you're not going to go to booking to book your tickets anymore. You complete that in agentic commerce, and you no longer go to Uber Eats, right? It's you go to that. And the beauty part is really once the agents knows your habits, like all these like profile data about you, your behavior data. Not that it's going to use it commercially to sell to another company, but it's going to train the model, your personal assistant model, so well that your personal assistant will know, like assistant will know you so well that he or she, aka it, right, is going to always bring you the best solutions or answers or results. And the more the services are going to be good and relevant to you, the decisions are relevant to you and good to you, the more you're going to use that agent. And the more you're leaving your personal behavior data to this agent, the better. So it's getting into a very positive circle. And that's where I think it might be happening for certain verticals in the States 2026 within Google or within ChatGPT. Can't wait for that happening.
Yes, and I agree with you entirely. And I think that, at the end of the day, marketing people will love how this change is going to change what they're doing and how they can directly impact the results for sales and revenue growth. And that changes everything that we do as a company on behalf of clients as well, because now we can actually create what we call a sales AI pipeline, which is exactly what you just described, which goes right to the transaction. And that whole old pipeline that people used to use in marketing and sales, that goes away with the dodo birds. And this takes over entirely and cuts their costs, creates much shorter sales cycles and transaction cycles, and creates nothing but opportunity. And that changes marketing, and it changes how we put together our marketing, but it doesn't change the need, the power, and the opportunity of marketing. It just changes the process. And that's what we want to do in these conversations over the coming weeks and months, is really help marketing people to come in, talk to us, ask questions, learn more about this. And that, in a couple of weeks, we're going to have one of the top marketing agencies in North America on to talk with us about how they're helping their clients with AI, including AEO and GEO. And we'll be talking more directly about how that impacts some of the major brands that they work, in addition to the brands that we work. And we're going to start to put these pieces together so that marketing people can see their next steps. So rather than just, reading or hearing, what is our next step? So what do we do? Is it an agentic page we need to build onto our website? Is it agentic AI search results that we need to better understand and to bring into play? Do we need to better understand what customer queries and questions are being asked against the solutions and the products that we sell? Do we need to better understand our ICP as it relates to all those? It's all of those things. And that's what we're here to facilitate and to help solve.
That's exactly right. And I can't wait for next week. Okay, to close the note, because you did mention like what's coming up, but for CMO, the topic is about attrition. So what is one metric every CMO should track in 2026?
And that's a great question. And this is what changes, isn't it? So the big thing that needs to be tracked now is agentic citation. And this is the frequency and the speed at which AI agents are grabbing and fetching your brand's data and to answer customer questions and queries. If this is high, then your marketing to AI infrastructure is working well. Now, if it's low, obviously that's not where you want to be. But if it's high, regardless of what Google Analytics is saying, you are doing well. And that's what's important. So most of those analytics that we've been watching and those attribution KPIs are just no longer relevant. So the key one you want to be watching is agentic citation.
That's great to hear, and can't wait for our follow-up session, because it does sound like there's a lot going on for CMOs to watch out, and new things for marketers to follow up. So can't wait for next sessions where we're inviting the marketing agency to join us to share about their experiences with their clients, their solutions, and their thoughts about 2026. So can't wait for it. And see you soon enough, Thomas. And thank you so much for your time today.
You too, and thank you, Joy.